Hi everyone, welcome to our ACM-W general meeting. Today we have John Arce here from BEAT LLC to talk about cybersecurity and data analytics. But of course, before we get into the content of the meeting, we're going to go through some events that are happening. So if you haven't already, please sign in using this QR code. And if you're on a mobile device like an iPad or your phone, don't worry, someone's going to post in the chat with the sign-in link.
Turn this off for a minute.
And here are some upcoming events. Tomorrow, ACM is having a meeting over Hack the Box, and then ICPC is having their last general meeting from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And this is a QR code for you to join our team. ACM-W, we're looking for teammates to join for next spring 2021. And it's a really good opportunity for you to come and join us and make some friends and network with peers that are in the same career field as you. And then also it's really good to put some extracurricular activities on your resume. So if you're interested, fill out this form right here. With that being said, Rowdy Hacks is also looking for some teammates to join them. You can have some opportunities to design some social media templates, put some ideas into like what kind of swag that hackathon might have, do some web graphics, and do some advertisements. So fill out this form on this page here.
Hi guys. So the San Antonio Food Bank will actually be having a virtual drive and y'all can donate here at this QR code. And also don't forget to fill out the form at the end of the QR code because you can get a chance to win an Anchor Bluetooth speaker. And we also have a scholarship opportunity for women in STEM. So it is due December 14th and you can also apply on the QR code.
So that concludes all of our events that are happening and everything that's going on. We're going to go ahead and get started with the meeting. So if you just joined and missed the first part, I'll reintroduce John. So we have John Arce here from BEAT LLC, and he's here to talk about cybersecurity and data analytics. And he's in the call right now. John, are you ready to start things and get it going? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Good to go.
Sounds good. Floor is yours.
All right. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yeah.
All right. Great, guys. All right. Well, hello and welcome. My name is John Arce again. Today we'll be talking about data analytics visualization, and we'll be specifically talking about Elasticsearch and Power BI. Once we get in, I'll go ahead and turn my camera off so you can focus on the, we'll be doing kind of a live demo. So we'll be driving through and explaining to it. If you guys can, I know all the items went out ahead of time. So if you've downloaded them and have them available, we'll be going through deployment, pulling some data up, walking through it, and kind of exploring through that in a real quickly. So today, just kind of give you, it's my first time with the team. So just to introduce myself, I'm the director of cybersecurity at BEAT LLC. I am a UTSA alumni. I graduated in 2008 with a business degree and in 2011 in information systems. You see my behind me, and I love everything I do with USA. I love, UTSA. I love going back and supporting the school. I work with the CompTIA team and other ones within the organization to give back. When I first left in 2008, when I graduated with a business degree, I actually went to go work as a contractor at Bloomberg. That was my very first job out of high school, out of college, sorry. And with that, I was a research analyst there, right? And I was helping work and keep in the energy department, helping to keep the Bloomberg terminal up to date for their efficiency of hubs and different things in that space. And so that really got my focus on, analytics and researching and how to pull things together. And then from there, it's kind of just spawned on from data into the cyber side. And now with threat hunting and all those things, I do work for the 16th Ave Cyber, the CSNDT. I'm a analytic transcriber. So what I do there is I help take analytics from our big data platform, and I make sure that that data and that the analytics actually cross-reference and work within all the platforms, whether it's our SIEM, SOAR, other solutions. So the same output comes out from different mechanisms. And so we get an entire view of everything that's happening within our network and infrastructure for the Air Force. So it's a great organization to work with in the Air Force and Cyber Command. So definitely something for anybody on the call that's interested, please let me know. and we can work through some of those things. Along on the call with me, I usually have Ophelia with me. So if you guys haven't met her before, Miss O, you want to slide over a little bit to say hi? That's it. So she's mad shy, but she loves helping out, and she actually keeps time for me, and it's great. She makes me make a slide for her too, so don't let her pretend that she's not shy there. But she's a third grader. She's a gold-fit swimmer, and the big thing is that she's gonna have a sister here soon, so she's pretty excited about that. And every day she's going on and on about it. So real big in STEM, and a lot of things that I do, I work with her. So I like to bring her into these different presentations as well to help me support and for her to get some understanding of it. And she actually likes doing it. And so until she tells me stop, I'm gonna bother her and make her come on here. So all right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my cam for now, and then we'll go ahead and go through some of this content real quick. Just I don't want my machine to slow down as we open up some of these applications. So give me one quick second. All right, great. All right. So what is Elasticsearch and Power BI, and why are we here? First off, Elasticsearch, it's well known as a data search engine, right? What it allows us to do is take in data from all sorts of systems, workstations, whatever they ends up being, and putting them in one location. So it could be financial data, it could be security data, it could be actually data from another system within itself. You can use this to make a multitude of things, and it's agnostic of data, which is awesome. Data type, which is what makes it really great. You can send in JSON data, CSV, and we'll work through some of the issues within that platform itself, or what can be done there, right? It's based off the Lucene syntax, so it's very simple to understand the content, the syntax that's used to run commands, and a lot of it's also click and apply, and we'll see that later today. It takes advantage of a lot of open source technologies, and there's also some really cool cloud and on-prem version. What we'll be doing today is the cloud version, so hopefully you're able to get a trial version before we got in the call. I'll show you and run through a deployment, and then actually show you our BEAT internal one, because it's going to take some time for the deployment to actually run through. But I did want to give you the sense of how to create one, so we'll go through that as well real quickly. The three parts of what we call the ELK stack is Elasticsearch, which is your engine, Kibana that helps with visualization, and Logstash, which is your data pipeline. There's a lot of other ones that are available for that ingesting, and they've also added the beat side, so you can actually put in specific stuff for packet beat, file beat, metric beat, and those allow you to have some data sent up to the Elasticsearch system quicker than before, because now the syntax and everything we have built for it is already built for that data. So when it comes to parsing and building it out, it's a lot easier. Parsing is one of the bigger things about getting this data up into the engine, and I'll talk about that shortly and what that means. The other product we'll get in today is Power BI. Power BI is a Microsoft product. It's a great collaboration tool, and because it is a Microsoft product and collaboration tool, we can load it into Office 365 and use it in a multitude of ways. We can post it on a SharePoint page to let it be an actual demo that goes out. We can send it out on a weekly basis. We can just pull it out for our own presentations and run through numbers for our staff and show them what's going on. There's a free desktop version, and that desktop version is what I'm going to run through today. You can tie it to an Office 365 account, and that'll let you do some more robust items. The Power BI, the BI stands for business intelligence. And so that's what that tool is really made for. It's made to help us understand our data a bit better. It's going to be a quick, easy hit for me, I think, compared to Elastic. Elastic, you can dump a lot of data and do some extravagant work. Power BI for me is, I like to use it for a lot of the real quick items. If I got a quick project I got to turn around, and I've got metrics or items for research. I'm doing a migration from one system to another, and I got to count workstations. It's just a real good tool for those types of things. And I'll show you how that kind of works, and we'll actually ingest a documentation. I'm really big into the risk management framework, a lot of NIST frameworks for us at BEAT, and I help support a lot of those. Risk management framework happens to be one of the biggest ones that we work in, and especially within the health division when we had to get medical equipment authorized to work in the DoD space. And so with that said, we use a lot of it to help out with those spaces. So with the RMF framework, I'll show you some data that I'm going to ingest, something called a POAM, which is a plan of actions and milestones. I'll upload that into Power BI, and then we'll make an actual dashboard that we can use for work purposes and go through it. So we got a couple things we'll jump through and see here we'll go next. So 1 second, put the slide. All right. So why do we use them? the biggest one for me, especially with the DoD space, is that these items are becoming more and more compliant within the regulations, and a lot of NIST and different frameworks really aim to cover a lot of these same dependencies and security concerns, right? So with this being said, we know that these items are already compliant with things like DFARS, which is the Defense Federal Acquisition Regulations Supplement, CMMC, which is your Cybersecurity Maturity Model certification, which if you intern with us at BEAT, a lot of individuals are working with me, helping me support that end and actually work out documentations and standards to get for some clients. And then risk management framework. So it helps a lot with those items, especially if you want to build a solution that uses this as part of its foundation. Some things like that would be in the DoD, we have something called the big data platform that each agency has. Each agency, Air Force has something called that I work on, Elixir. Army has Gabriel Nimbus. I think Chaos is the name of the Marine version, and all of them run off the Elastic framework on the back end. They have a lot of things like Hadoop and caching built into it to help support it, make it a more robust system. But at the end, the search engine function that is made out of it is the Elasticsearch and Elk Stack system, right? So there's definitely some goods on there. And they're both approved products, right? So the Microsoft Suite has an authority to operate an ATO within the DoD. Again, that allows us to use it in the workspaces. So especially for people who were in San Antonio, and that's why I point out a lot of these things, is that if you're going to go work in space, sometimes those are the quick hitters. And then most people really want to work at the NSAs and things of that nature. Well, there's always governance on what kind of software and things you can use in these spaces. And so why this is important with these particular systems is that they will allow you to work and across multiple stances. So it's good to understand what's out there and how to use it. And then you can use some of your knowledge from other items, like if you used a Tableau or ClickView, things like that to kind of help support your understanding of these different platforms and how they operate. Some of the advantages of them is that you can have real-time information and logging, because however fast you get the data up into the platform is how fast that goes up there. With the Power BI, I actually have some built off a SharePoint list, and using the suites of Microsoft, they have something called Power Automate. And what I do is if any field on a particular Excel gets updated, it actually automatically shoots an update up to my Power BI dashboard that our VPs use for operations and for different things. So it allows me to do a lot of real cool things up within the system and get it quickly. We have artificial learning, machine learning, which is probably the biggest thing for this club and what you guys want to do. And logging, auditing, security, and business analytics. Quick deployment. I'll show you a deployment today, and we'll have a whole entire cluster running, and I'll show you how quick that is, right? And the biggest question when it comes to data analytics is finding out what you don't know. And that's what we kind of sell to a lot of vendors. And that's what you sell to clients, is the ability to help them find things within their data that they weren't aware of, right? Whether it's helped with an efficiency, cost, operations. That's what we're looking for in the long run. How can we develop and get them to where we need them to be? So we'll jump in. The last item before we get into our slides is our concerns, right? So the biggest of these things, and the reason I want to kind of just today's, again, just an overarching, just a look and feel, touch, and we could probably expand on some more deeper conversations later, like creating a parser activity, ingesting data, doing an actual hunt, and going through those items, whatever the team would like to look at. So building out your skill and seeing what's on there and keeping to learn the platforms is what allows you to be great at this. If you're looking to do any type of data science work, anything with analytics, these are going to be platforms and items that are very important, working along with Python and R and things like that to help develop and learn how to massage the data on the back end and operate it properly. Both of them have certification tracks. So if you want to show that you are proficient in one or the other, you can definitely do that. And that's always great to do. And one of the things I'll get into later here in a bit about limited about data available and consistency of data naming standards. That's the biggest thing. And when it comes to parsing, what we have to understand for that mechanism itself. What we want to do and what happens here is, let's say, keeping it cyber related, I have Zeek or Bro logs that I want to ingest for review. Plus I also have some firewall logs. I've got system logs. I've got domain controller logs. I also have something running on my workstations like a McAfee or Symantec, and I want to get that information up there as well. Well, none of those companies are owned by the same organization. So what you might see on domain controller as computer name might show up as host name on another. So the very first thing you need to do when you're actually going to develop something is a common schema. That's one of the things that helps support with the Air Force as well, is developing a common schema so that when data goes into the SIEM, the SOAR, or the big data platform, is that all of it meshes well, and something that I can run in one can run in the other the best as well. So that's one of the biggest things when it comes to parsing and just starting out your data set, especially for a business that hasn't done it yet, is first coming out with your data dictionary of what you want to call items and items. And then when you start ingesting data, look at how that raw data comes in. And you can use something called dialects inside the system, or you can actually just operate and build parsers before the data gets in. So as it's ingested into the system, it already has those field names. So with a parser, you can do things to manipulate field names, and so they come in the way you want them. So definitely another thing we can look into and get more detailed in it, but it is probably the number one thing you have to look at when you're talking about implementing a process or a flow, because if you don't get there right, your hunts might not be right, or you'll be losing out on data that won't be matched up. One of the things we'll talk about here as well is the MITRE framework and how we apply that to our searches and our data fields. The last thing is, if you're, again, using it for security purposes, you can, and I'll show you a couple of things when we go to build a deployment of what's available. But the biggest thing you have to worry about is people can fake logs, whether it's faking and dumping. I can go up in inner Windows Event Viewer, and I can simply create files and drop in fake data. And as it goes into the ingest to your system, you might get flagged for some type of alert or things that were dumped in there, based on how you build your analytics and TTPs, your techniques, tactics, and protocols. And so with that being said, you definitely have to be cognizant of what you're looking at, how to read data, and how to pull any type of fake positives. Or if you're because that would really happen is that would probably be used as a overlying attack to hide something, whether it's, starting it actually as using it as some kind of denial of service attack, or going through and just putting a lot of just confusing your system as far as dumping a lot of logs rapidly. So as you're pulling and throughing, you might not be able to see a line or two that is actually important and skip through it. So that's why, again, why some of the visualization portions of these definitely help out, because then you're not sitting here and actually looking at reading lines line by line. If you're good at Wireshark or reading kind of Wireshark, you can see that stuff gets cumbersome and you have to pull it out. Well, when you pull that out and put it in a contextual view, it makes it so much more. So we'll go ahead and click from here. This will send me to your to our creation. So I think I already have it pulled up. Give me 1 second. All right. Everyone can still see my screen, and make sure I'm not muted, because sometimes all right, great. So if you log onto the cloud, so you're going to go to cloud.elastic.co, and you can create an account, do 14 3-day trial. So I got 14 days left. I created this one to show you. I also have our BEAT instantiation. I can show you how that looks like here in a little bit. But I want to go ahead and create a deployment. So here's where you have the options of what's available now to run within the cloud space. So there's some really good tools, and this has expanded tremendously over the past few years. If you're really into the Elastic, there's a big Elastic conference, the On Tour, that happens usually in Austin. I've gone to quite a few of them, and they show you all the cool things they're going through. You get to learn from the technicians and operators and working on different levels. Last one I went to, the entire security team was there, and they were showing off the new Elastic Security SIEM and solution. They also purchased Endgame, so they have an endpoint solution. So you can actually use Elastic now to run locally on your workstations to pull that data, similar to what you have maybe for like a Cylance or something, Sentinel-1, get that data ingested into Elastic, and now that becomes your solution. And you can use Elastic Security with already pre-built data. That's what the beauty about Elastic Security is. You can use Elasticsearch the same, or Elastic Stack the same way, which we will right now. But within it, we're going to have to create all our own alerts and operations, because this is a fresh, clean break. The difference in getting Elastic Security is that they've gone through some of the operations to build those TTPs for you, build alerts and notifications. And so that's exactly what it's built for, opposed to where Elastic Stack, I can do whatever I want, right? I can, if I want to look at, and we'll see some instances here, whether it's e-commerce, flight data, network traffic, we have all that ability. So I'm going to pull up Elastic. I'm going to go with just the default operations for right now. So I'm going to go input optimized, just basic data logs coming in. Here's where you can actually choose what deployment stack you want to use, whether it's the Google Cloud, Azure, AWS. You can point it to a region and actually a version if you want, depending on what you're looking to do. Maybe your what you've built works on a later version, and you need to work on a later version first before you built out and do some kind of work or training or make sure that those patches work. So you can jump down to some different versions that are available there. I'm going to keep it the same. I'm going to go Azure East 7, and I'm going to go ahead and name this the ACM-W demo. And we're going to go ahead and create that deployment. So what this is right here is you can save your Elastic deployment credentials. And this helps you when you can go straight into Kibana and the account without having to come to the splash page. I'll just go ahead and continue without downloading. I won't need that currently. I say that now and then I'll forget. Watch. So what it's doing now, it's actually building the operation for us, right? So it's actually creating that deployment. What I'm going to let it do for right now is actually run through that deployment. It's going to take roughly, I think, about 10 to 12 minutes to complete the deployment, get it completely built out. The Kibana usually opens a little bit earlier so that we can get started with operations within the deployment, but the cluster itself won't, it takes about 10 to 12 minutes. But for the sakes of going through it, I wanted to run through the actual creation so you can see it. While it's doing that, we're just going to let it sit. Once Kibana is up and operational for you, this is what you're going to see. All right. And we'll go back and I'll show you a couple more things on that landing page beforehand. This is my BEAT instantiation. So I can't go too deep in some of the items here because I can't, that we do have some live data going through. And so we'll just be careful with that. And this being a recorded session, I can't go too far onto this one. We'll wait till that Elastic gets built out and I can jump in a little more. But for the same purposes, I can show you kind of what we want to do here. So with that landing page, what we have here is ability to add data to our system. If you remember, Kibana is our visualization platform. Elastic's the backend. So everything we load in here, well, it says load into Kibana, you're actually loading into the Elastic cluster. And we can look at real-time feeds and how that works. On the left-hand side, we're just kind of run down what we have here as features. You got recently viewed, so we can go to different data and sets that we've already looked at. You're going to have your Discover, which actually can look at your raw data and what it looks like as it's coming in, see what the fields are, see how you have things labeled. You have the Visual, which pulls out and actually takes that data and puts into some bar graphs and some visuals to look at very quickly. It's not an actual visualization spot for 100% because we have right here the dashboard. The dashboard is where you can actually create that landing page to where you can do your work from day in and day out or whatever it is you can do. And you can do more as you go. Normally what I do is in a building, depending on the mission, I might build an operator dashboard, a supervisor dashboard, a command dashboard, depending on exactly what their roles and function are, because all this data, depending on what you do, is going to dictate how you use it within the space, right? Then you got a couple of items for alerting, index management, your settings, and then you have your logout. So you can go straight again to those tools and items from within here. What I'm going to do so that everyone's on the same page and so you can kind of practice is right here, they've got to add sample data and you can load data sets to Kibana. So if you click that, they're going to have a sample e-commerce order, sample flight data, and sample web logs. So what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and add the flight data and I'll add the web log data real quick. And that's how easy it was, right? So with that, let me just show you what's available here as well. Because of the expansion of the Elk cluster and everything that is built out, it's gone in and helped work with other companies, agencies to build out parsers, APIs, things that you can use to load your data faster into the cluster and more natively as well. So it's going to have a lot of options on how you can get and where you can get data from. And then you can use those default things like Logstash to data that is not listed here that you need to get up here automatically. You can use Logstash to get your own parser, connector. And when a cluster comes up, you'll see that they've also created new callers and security encryption and things so that you can actually point back to your cluster a lot quicker than it used to be when we had to build everything line by line using an AWS command line or Logstash or any of those things. So as you go through, you can see all the different types of metrics and systems that are allowed to take into the system. You see they got system logs, our sample data, Windows metrics, all these items. Zeek is an old bro. So you have all these options that are already built into the system that you can go out and grab from. So your Docker, AWS, all kinds of good stuff. And so we've got the sample data loaded. And what I'll do now is I'm going to come over here to our dashboard. All right. Now, again, for BEAT, our purposes, I've got some items already coming back here. So I have an entire Silence iteration, so I can't pull through that. But what I'll show you right now is what we're able to do with that log data that comes in from the flight. So this is we can just call it, our own item. Let's call it let's call it ACM-W Airlines. And so for ACM-W, we are supporting other airlines, and we're talking through their data and helping them build out some strategic operations and how things work. So what you can do from this is start to kind of navigate, and you'll build every one of these out on your own when you start scratch. Yeah, I don't want to go pull up my discovers because my other data is going to show up. But you'll see all the raw lines, and let's see where we're at here. Oh, yes. All right. So give me 1 second. That actually went a little bit faster. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to manage my deployment. So let's take a look here. So my deployment name, I've got ACM-W. It's currently healthy. I'm using deployment version 7.10.0. Here's my applications and the copies for the items, and then my cloud ID. So this cloud ID, here's what you can use now to help support when you're using Logstash or one of these items, so you can load and pull this data, your data to the system a lot faster. So this is a great little snippet they've added in there, and it definitely helps with your ingestion of data. You see what I have available as far as hardware currently. All right. So I've actually got 3 machines within my cluster. I've got these different instances broken down within them, and it has all the information. So technically I've got basically, I got 5, but I got 2 versions of 1 Kibana, 3 Elk, and the 1 APM. So you see how that breaks out all the information and what it gives me as far as items to use within the space. So I'll go back in, and right now what we should see is, all right. So now we're back at the sample data. This is back on the ACM-W. So I'll go ahead and add the flight data again, as well as the web logs. If everybody interested, the APM is the application performance monitoring. So that does help with monitor, detect, and things of that nature. So that APM definitely is a good feature. We won't get too much into it today. So it looks a little bit different because the BEAT instance is running within an AWS platform on our cluster. So we have an AWS GovCloud cluster that we run our instance on. And so this is now our instance on the Azure cloud. So what I'm going to do is click Discover. And when I get into Discover, what you can go ahead and see is that actual data coming in. So I'm showing the last 15 minutes. Crucial. First thing you might want to do is pull your data set back, because you're only going to get limited to what you can see. I'm going to go ahead and do last 1 year. Have to hit refresh. All right, great. So now we actually get some information that we can work with. The first thing that I would recommend do is get to know your data, understand your data. You can't figure out what you're doing unless you know what fields and what you have available and what kind of data it is. The other thing you can do with parsing is you can actually change these types of fields, right? So something's coming in like a number, average ticket cost, and you want it as a text. Your parser can handle that data, or you can do it after the fact here. But it's better to have it come into the system as well. If there's something you want to add, and this is kind of how I came with my original operation, I was kind of looking through here and I was like, okay, what's something I want to look at? Okay, well, one of the first things I see is they have flight delay information, right? And so I kind of started looking here and say, how does this help me? How does this work? Okay, well, I want to look at flight delays. And so for flight delays, we have the flight delay itself, true, false, Boolean, flight delay minutes and numbers, delay type, flight number, flight time minutes. So that's some information we have on the flight itself and how we can operate and go from there. So from that, you can build a dashboard simple enough that has this information on there. And what they've done is do that for us. So we don't have to go crazy and build it out. But that's how we would parse this data in. And you can click on each one and actually see what fields make up that data type or what's in it. This is a simple pie graph that's going to look at the airlines tab. So this is just looking at one tab, one field, and it's counting those unique or non-unique fields of that name, right? So simple enough. You can explore the underlying data if you want to look specific at a tab, and it'll pull up just the data used for that space, for that query, right? So we'll have that query data here. You can just pop back. You can customize range and then inspect as well. Inspect will pop it open. It'll show you some additional information on the side, let it a little bit cleaner. You can view that data as well, request different information. It's really clean and easy to look out. The other cool thing about this is it's all going to be interconnected. And what does that mean? Is that if I'm looking at, I want to look specifically just at Logstash Airlines. I can click on Logstash Airlines, and it's going to update the entire visual to just include the carrier Logstash Airlines. Right? So now I've minimized my view set. This is where you can get in to start diving down into data to start finding and answering questions that are in there. So now I start looking at flight delays. Flight delays, true, false. And then I have a true, false for cancellations. Well, there's 24 delays for Logstash. Okay, well, what is that? Let's now pull up just the flight delays. Let's remove everything else from our conversation other than flight delays. With that, you can look at now that we had 14 cancellations out of that possible, what was it? 79 total. So 79 total flights that were delayed. So now we started to add, oh, that's the wrong one. We want to do true. Let's close that out. No, the number looked a little weird. All right, there we go. That's better. Perfect. So only 4 of our total delays were canceled. Sorry, that didn't make sense. So that's a good thing, right? You can look at the math and be like, oh, wait, that's not right. And kind of backtrack and pull back fairly easy to see where we're at. And I saw I can just take a tab out and pull it out. So if I want to look at all delays, not just a particular flight, I can pull this airlines out, which still leaves me the flight delay is true. Now I want to go look at and saying, okay, how can we save them money, or what can we do to help prevent this item? Well, let's come down to this actual chart right here and look at this map. So the map itself actually breaks out into scale, and it shows this, the bubble that's used shows to scale how many flights go through and the connections. So the bigger the dot, the more they go through. And if you start to look through at some of these places, you can pretty much pinpoint some of the major ones. And I'll tell you that from doing the research and playing around with it, I think 3 out of the top 5 all are in South America. So you see 21 total flights through UIO, 12 down here, 17 down here. And so we understand that there's something with we travel to South America that's costing us time, right? And that's pretty simple from just looking at the data. We can also look at countries and see where they lay out at. And this is where the origin, right? So where it's coming from. So we can look at different operations to help tell a story. Again, here's origin and destination of particular flights and where they're at with the same data. So start to look at where they go through, reasons. So we can say, okay, well, every day or a majority of days it was cloudy. And a lot of them have to pass through South America, North America. So what might that tell us? That might tell us that, we can go ahead and tell as an operational item, say, you guys might want to add maybe 30 to 45 minutes of time to any connecting flight to a flight that's going to be landing in South America. All right. There's a dollar amount you can pull up that tells you how much every delay costs per airlines, and it's hundreds of dollars, right? And so with just a 45-minute stance, even if we do lose some money or do still delay, we're not cutting into that much. So there is an operational item there and things that obviously airlines look at to say, okay, what's that flex, right? And allow for time back and forth. We don't want to push too much, because if we do too much, like an hour will stop all delays, but does that create delays at another location? So those things that we have to play with and look at and see what happens, time of day, and all kinds of good factors. So this is what Elastic allows us to do with our data, and you can operate it with however way you want. You can make it as clean as you want. You can go as depth as you want, but it does allow you a lot of ability to work within the platform, put in any data you want. Again, this is specific to airline information. And within here, we also have our log traffic. So here you're pulling in some network traffic, and we're looking at unique visitors coming onto a site. We can look at places of origin. We can look at, so let's pick Russia. So why not? If I knew how to spell. There it is. All right. And we'll just do one for now. Oh, no. All right. So 17 unique visitors. So you see how that pulls out and operates right there? We can look at what kind of operating system the user was hitting. So a lot of these things, whenever you hit a website, a cookie might run, right? Or some kind of script might run when you log into a website and crawl your machine. This is some of that sample data that it will be pulling. Google Analytics is another great example. Google Analytics will pull data just like this for me to view, but then I can take that from the regular Google Analytics dashboard, ingest it into Elastic, and use it in combination with other items. Maybe I've got a sales platform and I want to correlate dollars and price to when people leave in clicks, right? So I'm looking at clicks and most people leave my website here. Okay, well, how much have they spent, where they're at? Did they get too far? Maybe my site requires a login to be able to finish an order. And I'm losing a lot of people there because they don't want to create an account. So, okay, now I know that by clicks and where people are doing my exit page, that I might want to have an option for guests and let guests allow checkouts. And that's how then my data stuff can work. So you can use this in a multitude of ways, whether it's just commerce or protecting yourself, saying, okay, hey, you know what? I know that there's Windows 7 issues, Windows XP. Look at that, 23% Windows XP. I know that Windows XP is no longer managed. Well, I want anybody that's using a Windows XP to get redirected to another site that's going to say, hey, unfortunately, because of your operating system, you can't hit this thing and you got to update, right? And that's not a possibility. Again, we can do it the same way. So there's other options. The other thing it might tell us is, look at this. We're using, it seems like we're getting quite a bit of mobile traffic, right? Well, what if our site is not conducive to mobile data? What if it's not a responsive page and we didn't build a page that shrinks in size depending on the utilization of the platform, right? That can tell us a lot as well, because we start looking at this data and how much things are closed out, how much people are going through. One person from Nashville, or around Nashville. So it's not a great need. That might say, you know what, we don't need to go that route. We've got one person. It's not a big deal. But if this number starts to jump up, then that might be a reason then to start looking at updating our platform to have iOS operational responsiveness, or even just mobile data or mobile applications. So as you can see, that it can tell you a lot of things depending on what you're looking to do. I'm trying to move it. I know that it can be very cybery, and I don't want to go crazy into cyber on all those things. We can definitely have conversations on some of those things. The good thing is, if you've never seen it, is the MITRE framework. And so with the MITRE framework, one of the great things that I was able to do with our team as part of the team that brought in CSAP, the Cyber Awareness Situational Platform, into the Air Force, was that they tasked us with helping to map data to the MITRE framework and how far and how close they were. And what I mean by that, if you look at these different items within the framework, and the framework does a great job of trying to pinpoint as much of possibility of operational tasks and things that happen within your network that can be considered part of, anywhere within a cyber kill chain, things that would happen during a hack itself, things that were known as exploits and operational tactics currently, right? Different techniques people use. So one of the most common ones are brute force. And I can tell you, when I started with the Air Force originally, I said, hey guys, I'm trying to work on brute force for you. Here's the data sources I need to be able to do that for you, right? And they gave me data sources. I started going through and started taking event IDs and putting event IDs to operational. Say, okay, I want to see a Windows event log ID for unsuccessful login that has occurred more than twice within a certain time frame, followed by or as one option one, and then option two, or action two, would be the same instance but with followed by an event log ID number of a successful login. And so that would allow me to now have an alert and something I could build into Elastic, that when it's running through, if it ever sees data strings that come through with multiple fails of a user ID with a successful one, that it would alert me as a possible brute force attack. Originally, the Air Force said, hey, well, we're sending you certain data. We only can send you so much data. I'm going to send you data that's, I'm giving you all the unsuccessful logins. Well, with that, I was like, guys, I need more than that. I can't just do this because it's going to pull some stuff back. We need to make sure that we have everything available. I need that piece of login information. So the login to give you 100% view. So that's what this allows you to do. It allows you to take a look and say what kind of data is needed to be able to do this. So if you're looking at scheduled tasks and jobs, you need to ensure you're getting file monitoring, process command line parameters, process monitoring, and Windows event logs, right? And these things are what help you get everything available. And that's why Elastic is so great. You might be looking at like, oh, I don't know, but look at how many different things I have to get in to be able to tell you 100% effective knowledge that we're giving you all the data that has anything to do within our enterprise with scheduled tasking and jobs that will allow you to do any type of analytic responsible. So if someone's dropping in cron jobs and stuff like that, this is all the data I need to be able to find that. So that's why this framework is really great, and taking it and applying it back in, and that's what they've done on the side there that has the security Elastic version, and why that's really great because they're starting to pull this and roll this in there. It's going to give you a lot of rank, especially if you're a small company. There's a lot you can do here for a low cost. So that's kind of my Elastic spiel. Again, I don't want to go too crazy on it. It's just a lot of stuff information on there, and I definitely want to give some time to make sure we have to go into Power BI. Any questions for me? I don't know. I can't see. Is any questions from the team so far, or just how the flow looks, best practices or anything within the space itself?
It looks like there's no questions so far.
That means I'm doing great. So
it's very clear. Yeah.
So hopefully that makes sense to everybody again, if you pick some data, we have data we want to put in there, or you want to look for a specific type of item, we can create some mock data, put it in here, and start rocking with that, and actually do some hunts, especially for those that are very cyber centric. I know this is a machining club, so it's more about just the analytics, and that's why I want to be kind of agnostic and show you what the platform does, because you guys here can go work in a lot of fields. It's not just going to be cyber or data. You have the world open to you. I have clinics again where when I was at BAMC, we started just getting into this with the IBM Blue Mix. And one of the things I could do is like, okay, well, let's take a look at all the infusion pumps and data going in. And if we've got, a female that weighs 120 pounds, and every time a female was 100 pounds, she gets so many cc's of a particular drug, and all of a sudden this one person is getting loaded up with double the amount, that's an alert I can call to and possibly stop an incident real time as it's being induced before everything gets pumped in. So it's not specific to just any one branch. It's really, really important to just be able to understand how data works, how to massage data, how to parse and ensure that you're having one pane of glass to look at as far as the way data is read across every system you're putting into it. So that way it makes your job easier in the long run, and you're looking at everything the same way. So that's real cool there. And so the next thing I'll bring up to you, if there's no questions, is Microsoft Power BI.
John.
Oh yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, one question that came in. Have you ever looked at IBM's AI tools for doing this kind of analytic stuff?
Yeah, so Blue Mix was part of it. And there's so many companies, so many companies that have different types of. Oracle has their own as well. And there's different platforms that allow for that type of information. So that's a great point. You definitely want to look at everything, right? The one Elastic for me is very easy to use. And because of the Elastic Common Schema used currently, I think it's a good baseline for learning, so that if you jump to other platforms, it's very much in line and not necessarily so much of a learning curve on those ends. So all great systems to use. And again, this is similar to doing just cyber in general. I might love Kane Enable. Kane Enable is my go-to suite for stuff, but I might get somewhere and they might just use Metasploit as a service, or they might use Burp Suite, and that's what I have to work with, right? And I have to be able to understand that platform and manage it and do the same thing within this one. So, and another one that definitely we can take a look at and do a sample like this for those that might not be aware of more of the obscure type of data engines and IBMs and stuff. Watson, all those things are really great things that you can start doing this same information with. And so definitely that's good stuff to learn as much as you can, especially right now while you guys are in school. Just get little demos and feels of a lot of stuff. And if you go to most sites, they usually have a free thing you can sign up for to have, just some kind of course, or if you get an AWS account, I think they give away like the free training for some of the practitioner information certification. So a lot of them will give you information because they want their stuff to grow. Microsoft just signed a big deal with the DoD for some $1 million or or $1 billion. So Microsoft Azure is going to be a bigger player now in the DoD space for where they do their stuff for that as well. Cool. All right. So, hi guys, this is Power BI, Microsoft Power Business Intelligence. This is a straight clean screen, straight what you guys should see as you download the operating or download the software from the site. So many cool tools here. Again, for me, I like this one because it's a quick hit and one that with the Elasticsearch cluster, I might do a lot of hunt and work and operations there. And I can do my dashboard, pull a dashboard on and log in. But, you know, sometimes I'm also in a skiff area where I can't pull data out or show some stuff, where I can't even bring a computer in. So I can build dashboards and actually export from here into PDFs or send them a version they can review beforehand. So they're not logging in to my actual instance of the cloud and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different reasons why I might want to pivot to Power BI. The other reason is that it is a Microsoft tool. And so what I can do, because I'm logged in with like my BEAT account, is if I want to build something, I can publish it to my account. And for my account, I'll probably show you here something in a little bit. I can take that account and then publish it to a SharePoint site or embed it somewhere else as part of I can send it out as email on a weekly basis. A lot of reasons why I might want to pivot here. I'm going to go ahead and do a pool. So the simplest way you can do is get data. And with the get data, it shows you all the common data sources that are available. If you hit more, it's going to show you, it might take a second, I'm sorry. It's going to show you all the different options. And so you have online services. So for me, again, I pull from Microsoft SharePoint. Here's an online list. I pointed straight to some of our BEAT stuff. And I got like a sales pipeline. And from the sales pipeline, I can build a dashboard. Instead of having to go list line by line, it's all nice, clean, visible for our team to see, and they can work from there. For today, we'll be doing a file, and it's just going to be an Excel file. Give me a quick second. Pull over here. ACM. So you should have gotten the same data already sent to you. I'm going to go ahead and pull out the instructions page. I'll go ahead and do POAM. So example. And let's load that. So you can pull what sheets of the page you want. Some of the other cool things that you can do is you can also, if you have multiple sheets, you can concatenate them together. And so that they're split and broken up within the same space or the same page, right? So if I can, and the reason I might want to do that is because I want something to be readable or synced between all the data. And I'll show you what that means here in a second. So if you click this line graph, you can actually see your data and see it as it comes in. So here's kind of a perfect example. I've got all this data on that sheet that talks about me logging in, my information, but doesn't have the headers. If you see it, the headers are actually on line 7. So that's going to make it an issue for me because now it can't read this data properly. So how am I going to take care of that? Well, what I can do is let's close out of here real quick. Let's go back home. Sorry. Go back to our graph tables. I'm going to transform that data. And when you transform data, it's going to pull up an editor for you. And that editor allows you to then do whatever you want. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete these top rows. And it actually counts this as column A, these as top rows as well. So you can come over here, remove rows, remove top rows. Actually, I should have done, there we go. And let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do 6 for now, see if that works. I probably should have done this beforehand. Wait, did I take away one too many? So, and then if you mess up, I can just easily erase that step. And now I'm back again. So let's go ahead back to remove rows, top rows. Let's try 5. Well, see, that doesn't make any sense there. Okay, so let's remove one more row. All right. Why is it? Let's go back. I don't like this doing that. Why is it not? You know what? Let's there. So now remove top rows. Let's see if I can get this done. What doesn't help you? No. Yeah, I think I jacked that up, guys. 1 second. Let's read this. Well, that is not. So let's close all this. 1 second, guys. Oh, let's get rid of that. Okay. Yep. There we go. One second. Nothing like live demos. See? So let's make sure we get this again. Shouldn't have saved that. Okay. All right, let's try it one more time, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, see, why does it look good there? Let's try it one more time, then we'll just kind of go with what we got. Yay, got it. All right. Great. So we got our rows, now our headers set the way we want them. And so the cool thing about this is now that I completed this one time, I'm going to close and apply. And no matter how many changes I make to that diagram or to that document, it's going to apply every time I upload data, it's going to apply those same settings to the data first. So every time I re-upload that data, it's going to remove those first top lines and then put it into the way I want it. And so the reason I did it that way is so that when I come in here and look at it, here's all my fields that I can use, right? I got raw severity, some of the ones I actually can use, a bunch of different ones that don't have anything on them. And so I can edit those out and clean them if I want, but I've got kind of what I want here. So with that data, a POAM. So let me explain a POAM real quick and tell you what this is. A plan of actions and milestones is a document we use to track controls, vulnerabilities, things that we are non-compliant with yet within our enterprise or particular system. We look at it and we devise so plan to it. We take a look at what the severity is, what the likelihood of a risk is, and things of that nature. And then from there, we go ahead and put mitigations to it. And those mitigations could, they have dates. They also have a time for completion and what that plan is. Some items can never actually become off a POAM because it must be that way. So let's say I build an application and it must run using Java 2 point something, and I can't upgrade it or break the system. Well, eventually, as Java upgrades, that's going to become an issue in a scan. It's to say you need to update this. Well, I can't because that'll break my platform. So then we have to put mitigation plans in place to build our platform up so it can move off that thing. So what I'm going to start off with is, let's start with status, right? And status has 2, completed and ongoing. I'm going to make that what we call a slicer. And what a slicer is simple enough, just a yes or no check, or not yes or no check, but just a check mark one way or the other. So I've got closed and ongoing, right? Easy enough. What I want also is that I don't want blanks to show up because I have so many more rows after the ones with data. I don't want that to come up. So then you have a filters tab. The filters tabs allows you to pull that data and say, okay, I want everything but blank to show up. And I want that to lock. So that's that way on the page for every time that slicer comes up. So now I've removed that item and I've got this information here. So now let's look at the actual item. So what was it listed under? Let me scroll this way. Please, security control number. So let's go to security control number. Let's open up a tile. And let's drop in these values. And I don't want to count. I want. Let's see. No, let's not do that. let's go ahead and go with the threats. Where's severity? That one's gonna have more data that'll work there. So what this allows us to do now is take a look at all the open items that we had, or all the items we had. It doesn't matter if they're open or not, right? Because we haven't checked anything yet, to see what severity level they're at. So the good thing about this is that we look at is that we actually don't have a lot of things that are high, just the one, but I have a lot of moderate items, right? The cool thing about this is it becomes similar, exactly similar to what Elastic allows you to do. So I can come over here and click ongoing, and it's going to modify the data sets for me to include what's ongoing, right? And I can go to closed. It's going to show me just the closed ones. So I got moderate and low. You can actually take this data as well, expand it so you can see it a bit bigger, or you can actually look at the data itself. So you can show as a table and look at the contents. Okay, 10.4. One second. Let's get back to report. That's all. Sorry. So you should say, well, that just shows you just the information and how that breaks out. Once we have these tools, we can start actually also updating them to our specifications. So one thing we might want to look at is, okay, well, for normal situations, red is considered high. So I want to click on this actual graphic visualization. I can come in here. I can take the labels, turn them on or off. The labels have the counts. Makes it easier, right? So now it's a quicker look. The title, I don't like the way the title looks because it just reads too much. So we're gonna go ahead and just move that. And we'll just call this severity count. And the last thing is we want to make sure that that red pops. So we're gonna go up to high because purple is way too friendly. I'm gonna give that a red color. All right. And so this allows us now to pull our context. You can put so much more in here. We have different graphics based on what you're doing. We have histograms. You've got R where you can put in an actual R script. We got bars where I can put in, let's see if you want to put like a stacked bar chart. We can look at now like likelihood compared to impact. So I can put in likelihood. I can put in impact. Again, show me those counts, right? And I can look at different things specific to those numbers and how they operate. And so that you can really keep drilling down and adding more and more data and correlations and KPIs within the platform and pull it out. And then again, like I said, I can publish this out if I want to, show it out to my staff, to my team members, everyone within the space. Real quickly, I can just kind of show you my Power BI because I know we're running low here on time towards the end. And so one that I was able to do not too long ago, let's go in here and take a look at some of our workspaces. And so I've got, our Cybersecurity training. This is the one that I can show off. So I built one for Cybersecurity training based off the NICE frameworks. And I put in here how many, for our staff, as you come in as part of internship, sorry, Tiffany, if you haven't seen this, I probably should have got this out to y'all, is looking at the work rules and different items, certifications that were within it. I think the certifications one is a little messed up, but I guess I'll click through it and show you. So if I want to look at specific things within the NICE framework that has to do with overseeing governance and types of jobs in that space, here shows me I got 14 work roles in that space, 6 specialty areas, and here's your 6 specialty areas that they're looking at, right? And so you can look at that specific area, and then that'll help actually pull out a work role that you might want to take a look at, right? So this helps narrow down different options for you within the IT realm in general. So the NICE framework, what it does is it takes all the jobs out there and puts them into 52 work roles. 45 is what BEAT uses. There's a few roles that don't apply to us, like legal cyber. So that's why it's a little bit less here. But it helps our staff understand what type of data and structures and certifications they need to attack based off the knowledge set. So it's real quick. I have it open on SharePoint. They can take a look at it. It's a lot easier than putting this in Elastic. This is probably something I don't want to put in Elastic. It's one file, one data set off one Excel, very clean. There's no need for me to drop it up in there and be doing analysis on there. There's no analysis for this. This is more of a business intelligence tool again to help tell our team and tell them a story and help them drive to a navigation point to where they want to go in training and so on. So that's definitely an easy one I can show you guys. There's definitely some more convoluted ones with like our sales pipeline. This is one I did for just similar to this one, was just an Air Force test I did. So here's your program tracker I used for that one. I did raw severity as the slicer. So you can look at level 1s, 2s, and 3s, going and counting. We did it as a slicer on ours here. I did it as a bar graph. And then I broke down likelihood of something to happen, right? So the likelihood of the moderates to happen is 66%, which is quite big for a moderate, right? It's not a high, but that's still a big likelihood percentage. So we want to make sure that the likelihoods of things end up being very low. So we can probably attack that as well. It's another visualization we've gotten now with presenting the data slightly different. So that's really what I kind of get at here, is just how to present the data, how to look at it, just getting it into the system and start playing with it yourself. And then hopefully this can get some questions so that next class or next time we talk, maybe we have some more examples of things specifically you're interested in looking at, ways of developing data. I did something simple like when the WannaCry was a big thing, when a CVE comes out and we got to find out that CVE is anywhere in our infrastructure. This is a quick thing I can just dump in our scan, go through, pull it out, and I can show our bosses, and boom, now they have a dashboard that they can actually drive and find out where things at. And they can see the red drop real time and say, oh, cool, warm fuzzy, versus them calling you all day saying, what are numbers? That's what this cool thing allows us to do, and kind of why I'm a big proponent of the two applications and specific uses for both of them, because they are different to me. You can do a lot of which I showed you in Elastic in Power BI, but that because it's cumbersome, you got to buy some more license, like pro licenses and things like that for each individual user. So the Microsoft tool pricing comes into play there. And so that's why at some point to me it becomes a little bit, you might want to go to the cloud base and have a little bit more robust and use this for maybe those small impact, quick hitters, or the daily briefings and things of that nature. So guys, I know we're actually right at the time there. So any questions now on Power BI or the two of them? Hopefully you have the resources you guys can follow along that you can go back and install your own and do your own instances. And I think hopefully that will drive some questions later on. I will send back this presentation as well to the team, because the one thing we have here at the end, CompTIA actually has an Elastic setup that they, for training and stuff like that, they show you how to do your own. So that's a great resource for you if you want to, again, follow your own and kind of do it for other purposes. GitHub also, Elastic has their own page, Power BI. Vuln Whisperer is a vulnerability tool that was developed using Elastic and all those items. So again, a great way that you can see someone build a tool on top of another tool. I just put validate hashes if you're downloading anything from there, please. Power BI visuals. What I showed you on the framework, on the base download, is what's available. There's a marketplace online, and that marketplace has other ones that individuals have built. And so you can go look at other types of visuals and pull those down, upload them into your Power BI, use them such as stencils and visuals. Works really great resource. Cybersecurity, I didn't mention much, but if you want to get some more experience on working some of these items or just in general training, I always push Cybersecurity, but Elastic and Power BI have their own sites. Definitely hit those up as well. I put the MITRE framework link in here as well, so you can kind of go pull back to that as a reference if you want to try and build something. And then last but not least, we've got our log/parsing document, or just it comes from the Elasticsearch site. So if you're wanting to upload your own data and you want to use something like Logstash or even FileWin, any of those things, you can use these sites to kind of help navigate how you get that data in there. Usually you can only straight upload. I think if there's like 100 kilobytes or some megabytes, something like that, they max out for drag and drop straight into the system. Everything else has to be ingested via tool set. So that's it for me, guys. And so just our BEAT website, just to let you guys know, we do have a BEAT internship. Tiffany is one of our current cohorts. We do quite a bit in there with our staff. You can get some more information from her, especially just if you want to get a feel of what we're doing. You're like, oh, John might be me. We do, to me at least, I think we let you guys do as much hands-on as we can. We sit you side by side with one of our developers, engineers, project managers, whatever it is, depending on your task assigned. We also have different meetings where we go through datas and practices and things of that nature. And we have 3 a year, fall, spring, summer. So if there's something that interests you, please let us know. You can sign up on Handshake. We open it up usually right before the semester starts, but we also have it open always on our BEAT website. So you can apply through the BEAT website. And usually what happens is right before the next cohort, I'll go back and look at everyone that's applied since before and then reach out to them. So if you apply now, you probably won't get a call till January timeframe, but that would be our next cohort at that time. So thank you guys for your time. Ophelia and I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us today. She's actually playing a little Wildcrats right now because she was like, I'm over this now. So lasted a lot longer than I thought. She did really great. And you guys did as well. So thank you for your time. Any parting questions before I go?
No questions. A few people have been just saying that the talk was very interesting and it was very good to have you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Look for me on LinkedIn, and from there we can pick up the chat more and go over some more details on these platforms and how to use them for work or just for fun. Thank you guys. Appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you so much, John. Really appreciate you coming and doing this talk with us. Really good content. And since we're a little bit over time, I'm going to go ahead and close off the meeting. Just one quick reminder, our next meeting is on December 1st at 5:15 p.m. on Tuesday, and we're going to have some Twitter interns come and talk about how they got their internship and what they can give some advice to you guys if you're looking to intern with Twitter. So until next time, I hope everyone has a good evening. And once again, thank you, John, for coming and talking with us.
Thank you guys. Y'all have a good day. And I'll be at the ACM tomorrow, and we'll be doing a hack the box and some other type of items in there as well. So anybody that's part of ACM, see you guys tomorrow. Thank you. Have a great night. Stay safe. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
You're all good.